One flower that always brings back the joy of childhood to me is daisies, and they are the subject of my new garden experiment. I've found two types of Australian native daisies that I'm desperate to grow. The first is the Brachy's comb, the Swan River daisy, and I have that growing quite successfully in my garden. I just keep it underneath the eaves so it doesn't get too much rain because it doesn't like to be too soggy. My next challenge is more of a challenge. It is the beautiful Murnong Daisy. The Murnong Daisy has sustained First Nation peoples in Australia for thousands of years. In fact, in Victoria and New South Wales, it was actively cultivated by Aboriginal people. That's right, I said actively cultivated because it's a myth that our First Nation peoples in Australia did not cultivate. In fact, they did, and this is supported by documents written by settlers and adventurers who were the first to go through certain areas. The Murnong Daisy is a subtle little joy. It's not an amazing bushy flower, but it does have gorgeous dandelion-like blooms, and I can imagine when there were paddocks of this, it must have been gorgeous. But a lot of them were destroyed when they were eaten by stock and the ground was trampled and no longer cultivated. Now, there are various rehabilitation projects going on. I managed to get my hands on some of these. Obviously, I'm not in a temperate climate like the original habitat of these little beauties. So I'm having to kind of make it up as I go along. And this is going to be another garden experiment. I've chosen a spot that will get some really good sun in the morning, about 4 or 5 hours of really good sun. Now I'm putting it in an old laundry tub that is underneath the eaves so that I don't have to worry about getting too soggy. I will have to water it quite regularly in order to get a good crop. I've made up my own mix of soil for this, and while these guys can grow in a soil that is reasonably poor, you get a much better yield if you grow it in something that's rich in compost. So I've done a soil mix which is 5 parts soil, 2 parts compost and 1 part perlite. Just the perlite's in there just to add the drainage and also to grab all those nutrients. If you are going to plant these in a container, it needs to be something that's about 50 centimeters deep in order to make sure that there is enough room for the roots, because the roots are the important part of this plant. They're basically yams. They're also known as the yam daisy, and these yams can be eaten raw or cooked. Can't wait until I have a crop to try them. So basically, now that I've got my soil mix in my container, all I'm going to do is pop them out. Now you can see that's quite root bound, so it really needs to go in the ground. I'm going to pop it in here, and I'm going to give them lots of space. There we go, there's our second one. Because I'm really only just getting to the 50 centimeters depth, so I want to make sure I make up for that with a bit of lateral space. And I also want to make room so that they can grow in the future. I want to be able to propagate these next season. Okay, so now they're in the soil. It's as easy as that. See this? This is a spent bloom. I can't wait until that gives me some seeds and I can propagate. And this bloom should be opening very soon. So let's give that a really good water in. It's really hot here at the moment, but that's okay because temperate climates in Australia can get really hot in the summer. So most of our plants will actually tolerate a bit of heat, but that's the reason why I've chosen a spot that's in shade for most of the day, because it's going to get enough heat in the times that it is in the sun. So there we go, all planted out. I will let you know how it goes. Thanks for watching. Please click on subscribe if you'd like to see how this experiment goes. If you're interested, I now have a number of new designs in my Etsy store, which I'll link in the description below. Make sure you like this video if you liked it, and share it with people who you think might find it interesting. That would be greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel, and if the channel gets helped out enough, well then I might be able to monetize and I'll be able to bring you lots more videos. Thanks again. Keep on growing.